and invite you all to stay, and if there's anyone further questions, etc., please make use of that time wisely. We're getting close to calling the hearing to a close. Further, any questions about that, Councillor Barker?
One issue raised that Councillor Piper's one had 5 or 2 days then. Supplied him with a tie, they refused to wear it.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to the dark side.
It is an issue.
You are going to the dark side, aren't you?
Yeah. Councillor Belford.
We've heard all the submissions. What is the process?
Good question. Just order, everyone, just before we finish. What is the process now we've heard the submission?
What's the process going forward? I mean, are we going to have at some point a council discussion of what we've heard, or what questions have been raised or answered, or what have you, or are we simply going to proceed to the agenda item on Wednesday, or?
Nothing planned for the interim, but
sure.
there is.
So thank you through you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, it effectively will be covered in the agenda item next Wednesday. So the agenda item will take you through the various components that have been going towards making your decision, including the submissions from the special consultative process. There will be some commentary where required around some of the general points raised, not necessarily specific, but you're more than welcome to ask specific questions if you wish during the meeting, if there's anything that you feel hasn't been clarified on that.
One step that was referenced, I think, a few meetings back in one of the documents that outlined what this process would be, and Deloitte, I think, also commented on this, is that we would need to get a separate legal review as to whether, from a purely legal standpoint, some of the terms and so forth that we were being asked to consider or agree to were in fact, locked up. So, for example, the question came up yesterday as to the water user contracts and what conditions might or might not be sitting in those contracts at this point. Of course, we have water users, potential users, who have seen the contract. We have councillors who have not. And so we certainly have not seen any legal advice as to whether those contracts have in them the kinds of protections that we think we would be buying into when we tick the box that says we have 40% sign-up. So are we going to get some review like that, as a for instance?
Yeah, so that was called the concession deed agreement, and you resolved back in April to seek legal review on that. And that has been, a legal review has been undertaken, and I have forwarded that to HBRC for their amendment, consideration and amendment, and it'll be brought back to you next week.
Councillor Barker.
I think what underlies Councillor Belford's question at the beginning was, having heard all of the submissions, do we just hear them, ask questions, and then shelve them, or is there some analysis of the submissions made? If there is some analysis made of those submissions, who makes it? How is it made? And having made the analysis of the submissions, what conclusions are drawn from it? And who makes those conclusions? And then, fourthly, what do we do with those conclusions? I mean, that's the question he's asking, and I don't think he has got a satisfactory answer to that, and I would like to hear one. Thank you.
So the submissions, you were basically asked two questions. Well, you asked one question: should the council invest up to $80 million in the Ruataniwha water scheme? And there were two options given, yes or no. So the decision that is made on whether or not to invest will effectively address those decisions, but there will also be some formal recommendations put to you about accepting and or declining submissions next week. Well, they will be a consequence of whatever decision you make next week. The analysis of the general points made in the submissions will be included as part of the paper next week.
So are we assuming, for example, that HBRC, not having yet seen a decision,
Microphone.
Not yet having seen a Board of Inquiry decision, are we just assuming that they are in fact going to receive that decision, digest it, and in fact come back and recommend to us proceeding with the dam? Is that just an assumption we're making?
At the moment, we're working on the business case that's been presented by HBRC and adopted by this council for its consideration. That business case is based on one of the assumptions being, or one of the conditions precedent being, workable resource consents. If the Board of Inquiry decision, final decision, leads HBRC to determine that the Ruataniwha water storage scheme can't be implemented because of those conditions, I'm sure that they will then come back to us and advise us that they are unable to meet that condition precedent.
Councillor Bevan.
Yeah, I notice in the this sheet here, the meeting is intended to be closed in the next couple of minutes. Okay, whatever. I would actually quite like to have some discussion on some of the issues that have been raised by the submitters, so that the staff are well informed as to what extra information we may or may not be looking for to put in front of us at the next meeting on the 25th, which is, I think, when we're going to make some decisions on the basis of what we've heard.
So you'd like to break now and then come back and continue with the public meeting for another half an hour or so?
Well, it's more while it's fresh in our minds to discuss some of the issues that have been raised, and
we've all got a heap of questions out of this.
Yeah, and I think it might be quite helpful.
We'll get other staff down too.
We'll get some other staff down.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, let's break for morning tea then now for 10 minutes, and I think that's a good suggestion. The only point I'll make is others have made appointments to go and do other things. Is that going to compromise too much?
As long as we've got, I'm perfectly happy with that. As long as we've got a time. This is going to drag on till, say, 2 o'clock.
No.
But if we've got a time, then people can adjust their lives. Keep half an hour. So if we have
say it'll be finished by 11:15. Is that fine? That's fine. Okay. So we'll break for 10 minutes. Grab a cuppa.